Making the top stories this afternoon, SKN observes UN Day 76, critical fuel shortages spark more Haiti protests, and movie set shooting now focuses on chain of gun custody. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Tuesday, October 26th. I am Mervan Thompson. Nationally, St. Kitts and Nevis joined the global community in observing the 76th anniversary of United Nations or UN Day on Sunday. UN Day is observed on October 24th of every year since 1948. The observation marks the anniversary of the entry into force of the UN Charter in 1945, which is the founding document of the non-partisan institution that has been working towards global peace and equity. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris said United Nations Day reminds us of the value and importance of collective action and the relevance of the institution. He noted also that over the past 76 years, the United Nations has demonstrated its robustness and adaptability to issues and crises as they arise. Locally, the UN Resident Coordination Office, in collaboration with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, held a flag-raising ceremony at the National Heroes Park in observation of the 76th anniversary of United Nations Day. An unprecedented surgery was done in Nevis on October 16th when the first bilateral mastectomy and breast reconstruction surgery was performed on a cancer survivor. It is the first such medical operation to be done in the Federation as well. In a ceremony to mark the occasion by the Ministry of Health, Dr. Patrick Meredith, a plastic surgeon from Switzerland, said the procedure was successfully done. He explained the significance of the surgery, given the high probability of cancer developing in West Indian women.
This surgery was a very important case because it is a surgery for prevention of breast cancer in a very particular situation. The patient had a mutation of the breast cancer gene 1 and also 2, but mainly the 1. This mutation occurs in about 20% of the female population in the West Indies. Patients with that mutation will, after the age of 50, have a 95% chance of unilateral or even bilateral breast cancer. And this breast cancer will be aggressive because it is not subject to any efficient chemo.
The surgery should be seen as more of a life-saving procedure than a cosmetic one, he said.
The risk of death once that breast cancer is present, and it's 95% of patients after the age of 50, is about 80 to 90% death. That is very important. So it is not a cosmetic procedure. It is a medical procedure to avoid a life-threatening situation and huge costs if these breast cancers were to
Such operations usually last between 3 to 4 hours. Dr. Meredith said, however, that the procedure was done in under 3 hours with very little blood loss, which meant that blood transfusions were not necessary. Junior Minister of Health, Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, spoke on behalf of women for the impact of the surgery the surgery would have for those who would have to have mastectomies.
This surgery is important because it brings hope to those women who would have lost their breasts due to breast cancer. They now have a chance to have breasts implanted, and so they can continue to lead normal and healthy lives.
As part of the healing process for the patient, she will have to wear a compression bra for a few days. After 6 weeks, the patient can engage in sporting activities and then in aggressive sports after 3 months. And finally, on the local scene, Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris will hold a press conference on Thursday, October 28th from 10 a.m. in the conference room at the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, in Limekeel, Bastille. In a government headquarters release, it said that Prime Minister Harris will update citizens and residents on matters of national importance. The press conference will be carried live on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM, ZIZ TV Channel 5, and the Facebook and YouTube platforms of ZIZ and the SKNIS. We move now to news on the regional scene. Severe fuel shortages have sparked more protests in Haiti's capital. The cost of fuel has soared and some petrol stations have closed. Gangs have started kidnapping and killing truck drivers, which is only adding to the problem. Al Jazeera's Manuel Rapolo reports.
Fires burning in the streets of the Haitian capital. While protests over worsening insecurity have swept the city in recent days, demonstrations over fuel shortages are also becoming a daily occurrence. There are fears the city would come to a standstill if supplies aren't resumed soon.
The government is not doing its job. They are the ones that should give us security. They should do everything to make sure pumps have petrol so we can do what we have to do.
Despite some gas stations already running dry, queues of motorists keep growing, as do tensions at the pump.
The problem is the people in government. The rich are...
Security is to have your own head of state. And I think from that perspective, I believe from that perspective, it is in fact sending a very strong message to the young people in the society. And in fact, that's the direction I believe, as I said, we should go.
Barbados will become a parliamentary republic in November 2021, and immediately afterwards is expected to get to work on drafting a new constitution. It has already elected a president who will replace Queen Elizabeth as head of state. Dame Sandra Mason, 72, will be sworn in on 30th November, which is also the island's 55th anniversary of independence from Britain. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
Moving on to the international scene. Hours before actor Alec Baldwin fired a fatal gunshot from a prop gun that he had been told was safe last week, a camera crew for Rust walked off the job in protest of conditions and issues including safety concerns. The police investigations are now focused on the armorer and the assistant director who handed the gun to Baldwin. France 24 reports.
The 911 call that alerted authorities to the deadly on-set shooting on Thursday seems to hint at the tensions that were hanging over the production.
Bonanza Creek Ranch has had two people accidentally shot on a movie set by a prop gun. We need help immediately.
We're getting them out there already. Just stay on the phone with me.
Thank you. I just an AD that yelled at me at lunch because asking about revisions. Did you see him lean over my table and yell at me? He's supposed to check the guns. He's responsible for what happened in the company.
The AD or assistant director referred to in the recording is Dave Halls, a Hollywood veteran. Attention is now turning to Hall's involvement in the film production safety protocol, along with that of the armourer and chief gun handler, 24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez. Court records show that during a rehearsal on the set in New Mexico, Halls picked up the firearm from a cart and handed it to Alec Baldwin, both unaware that it was loaded with live ammunition. It had been placed there by Gutierrez. Halls incorrectly shouted "cold gun," the term used to indicate a gun not loaded with live rounds. Baldwin then fired the weapon, unwittingly killing 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins and injuring director Joel Souza. After the gun was discharged, the actor handed it to Gutierrez, who removed a spent shell casing and turned over the firearm to police when they arrived. Prop guns used in film productions are sometimes real weapons that can fire either bullets or blanks. It's unclear, however, why the gun in question contained live ammunition. It had been set up by Gutierrez, along with two other firearms. According to the Los Angeles Times, citing two anonymous crew members, Baldwin's stunt double accidentally fired live rounds earlier in the production, after being told the gun was not loaded. A camera operator informed a production manager about the incident, describing it as super unsafe. The on-set tensions in the production of Western film Rust reportedly began almost from the outset in early October and led to 7 crew members walking off just hours before Hutchins was killed. They were concerned about a range of issues, from safety procedures to their housing accommodation.
China has started. China
3 and over will be required to take a COVID-19 jab in China as it battles a growing COVID-19 outbreak. The country hopes to fully inoculate the group by year end. CNA reports.
China has started vaccinating children as young as 3 as it battles a growing COVID-19 outbreak. Children aged 3 to 11 will be required to take the shot in at least 5 provinces. Zhejiang wants to have the group fully vaccinated by December. Now, several local vaccines have already been approved. Sinopharm and Sinovac were given the green light in June for use in children under the age of 17, but rollout has so far been limited to those aged 12 and above. Around 3/4 of China's population are fully vaccinated. The expansion comes as authorities take further action to rein in the spread of the virus. Lockdowns continue to be imposed as Beijing maintains a strict zero-tolerance policy. A city of 4 million is the latest to be locked down. People living in Lanzhou can only leave their homes for essential supplies or medical treatment. Mass testing is also underway. The city accounts for 6 of the 29 new infections reported nationwide. The wider province of Gansu has suspended all tourist activities, leaving hundreds of visitors stranded.
对于尚未完成核酸检测的游客，将尽快安排核酸检测，待符合返程条件后返程。确诊病例将就地隔离治疗，待恢复健康、符合出院条件并完成留观后可返程。
Strict stay-at-home orders have already been imposed on tens of thousands in northern China, including Beijing. Residents have been advised to stay indoors and avoid travelling to high-risk regions. The outbreak has now spread to at least 11 provinces. It's been linked to the more transmissible Delta variant.
And now for the weather. It is 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies and showers in the vicinity with dust haze. Winds are southeast at 7 to 14 miles per hour with lighter spells overnight. Seas are not exceeding 1.5 meters or 5 feet. Weather forecast for today is partly cloudy skies but should be mostly sunny this afternoon. Tonight will be mostly fair with cool conditions. Sunset today will be at 5:43 p.m. and the sunrise tomorrow at 6:07 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Reverend Thompson. Have a great day.